Good morning, Patriots. Today is Wednesday, November 24th, 2021, and this is the Restored Republic via a GCR update by Judy Byington. And she has some quotes here. We have to love our freedom more than we fear a germ. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay. Judy, note, the kingpin of the global currency reset, the Iraqi dinar, went international early Sunday morning, November 21st. On the 22nd, the RV was made official worldwide. On the 23rd, the inauguration of the worldwide GCR began with Zurich in Asia, the greatest holders of bonds and assets. And also on Tuesday, some internet went down due to the switchover to the Starlink satellite system. Wednesday, November 24th, was the end of a 72-hour waiting period for the GCR, and on that Wednesday, November 24th, Tier 4B was set to begin scheduling redemption exchange appointments at special redemption centers. And then on the 25th, which is tomorrow, the U.S. would begin exchanges beginning in Miami. Okay. Received from a high-up contact. Monday the 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the RV was made official worldwide, after which all countries and banks stayed online to make sure it was not reversed, which it wasn't. On Tuesday, November 23rd, the inauguration began with Zurich in Asia, the greatest holders of bonds and assets. On Thursday, November 25th, the U.S. would begin exchanges beginning in Miami, and then the 26th, Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico would begin. This global currency reset was set and ready to go and vital for global change. So it looks like the main thing is the reset. And everything else that's happening, they're just letting happen. Some other things from the big call with Bruce. There was a paring down of billions on the Wells Fargo email list to 1.4 million Tier 4B emails ready to be released. A Tier 1 bank officer said notification for Tier 4B would go either right before or after Thanksgiving. Bondholders have been given liquidity and would have additional liquidity perhaps tomorrow, Wednesday, November 24th, that $1 billion of that would be spendable for the next 90 days. Some Attorney General signatures promised for the petition were yet to be obtained. Lindell promised to publish the petition if the AGs didn't come through by sometime Wednesday, November 24th. Now, a lot of people think that this particular exercise, I guess, in taking this to the Supreme Court with the Attorney General's signatures, and it's for show, it's to help wake people up, but I don't have faith that the Supreme Court would overturn the election. I don't. I think military is the only way. But I think they go through these particular events, as a show for people, just so they can see each system in our government doesn't work. It's corrupted. And that's important because some people have to see the truth, instead of just someone telling them. So it's like they're exposing the courts, they're exposing Congress, they're exposing the House, they're exposing the executive branch, then they're exposing the police, they're exposing the FBI, all the different court systems, CPS, and so forth, trying to show you that all of our, departments and governmental agencies have been corrupted. And it's like we have to start all over again, which is what we're going to do. But some people, to avoid some fighting back and not understanding, this is an important process. And while they're doing this, they're getting the whole global currency reset going. That's my understanding. Okay, But yeah, I don't have a lot of faith anything will come of the Supreme Court, date, a hearing or whatever.
Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Pennsylvania, San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, and Washington, D.C.
Audio message is an EBS. This is not a test. The emergency alarm system has been activated. The telephone lines must be kept closed. Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Pennsylvania, San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. A list of cities, all with ports or military naval bases. The first two. Boston Navy Yard. It was one of the oldest shipbuilding structures of the United States Navy. Chicago, Naval Station Great Lakes is the home of the United States Navy's only training camp, located near Chicago Naval Station, Great Lakes. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, there is a shipyard on Delaware. 1-1 follows, 1-2 continues. The rest of the cities on both the east and west coasts, departure points for the China Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, last mentioned Washington, D.C., a Fincantieri headquarters. Why does Poole warn us of already official Navy military operations? And that's a good question. So it could be a clue that something about something coming. The EBS could be used in different areas at different times, maybe. I don't know those things, but these are all ports. And if there was an attack on ports, for example, that would leave the rest of the country vulnerable. And I think there might be one in one of the Great Lakes. Departure points for the China Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, so that's on both sides. Last mentioned Washington, D.C., a Fincantieri headquarters. Global financial crisis. We're just waiting. This Evergrande is to be removed from the stock index as meltdown looms. India about to ban cryptocurrencies and regulate asset-backed digital currency. The Russian stock exchange falls rapidly at the open today. This comes after a massive sell-off due to the possible military escalation by Kremlin in Eastern Europe. Yes, because we know the Russians are building up military all around Ukraine. The UK, Bulb Energy goes bust. Bulb has become the largest energy company to collapse as a result of high wholesale gas prices, leaving British taxpayers on the hook to ensure its 1.7 million customers continue to benefit from a continued supply to their homes. The Treasury has been forced into what amounts to a temporary nationalization of Bulb to protect the energy supply of its customers, after the company failed to secure financing to continue operating independently. China, the Oyan Group's dollar bonds fell on November 23rd, pulling junk notes down with it, as a report saying the company failed to pay a trust loan in full revived concerns about stress among Chinese developers. The whole Evergrande thing is going to affect other companies in China too. It's just going to pull everything down. JFK refused, and he was killed within a year. I will splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds, JFK. So the CIA was up to doing these false flags, going way back. And it's interesting that she puts that in here, Operation Northwoods. Is that what's coming? Something similar to that? Because remember, 107 says the event will be like a 3-day Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's interesting that she's bringing up Operation Northwoods. Are they going to redo Operation Northwoods? Staging, that like Cuba, but not Cuba, maybe some other country is doing something, and just as a means to start a war. So I guess we'll see. But these are some clues. Wars and rumors of wars. The collapse of U.S. and Afghanistan emboldened Russia and China to act in Ukraine and Taiwan. End game World War III update. Russian state TV last night claimed Moscow's anti-satellite missile could destroy 32 NATO satellites and blind all their missiles, planes, and ships. Oh, that's a threat if you ask me. Russia's threatening NATO. They wouldn't say something like that for no reason. Russian Steel Association, representing largest metallurgical companies, complained of difficulties in railway transit since most of the railways are currently taken over by the Russian military for transportation of troops and equipment to the Ukrainian border. Okay, so this is from the DEFCON level warning system. They have a Telegram site I like to check out sometimes. A U.S. military base in Karab al-Jar village in northern Syria has been attacked by rockets, and that's in the Middle East, so that's one of the alerts for the Middle East, which is covered by CENTCOM. And then 6 Chinese fighter jets entered Taiwan's air defense identification zone today. Taiwan intercepted the jets with their own aircraft and issued radio warnings, as well as deploying missile systems to track the Chinese aircraft. So things are really getting tense there. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry has warned that Russia has increased its military readiness level for Russian occupation forces in Donbass. So it's like their DEFCON level has gone up. Military readiness. From what I saw last, we're still at a DEFCON 4 here in America. And then Russian state TV has claimed that Russia's anti-satellite missiles have the capability of destroying 32 NATO satellites. 32. And you know what? Isn't there like 32 or 33 satanic buildings that need to be destroyed as well? Interesting. Blind all their missiles, planes, and ships, not to mention the ground forces. Gateway Pundit. Steve Bannon goes off on reckless Biden regime. They're purposefully trying to destroy the U.S. dollar. This is the con. And he was on War Room. And let's see if they have a clip of that.
We going to have 5 weeks of total turmoil because you've got the continued resolution to fund the government. Remember, you have $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion deficits in perpetuity. In perpetuity. Of course, the Democrats are now saying none of that matters. Deficits don't matter. It's modern monetary theory. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just keep printing the money. You've got the debt ceiling fight, which McConnell's already playing footsie with the Democrats, right? He's playing footsie. Yep. You've got the bankruptcy bill of really $5 trillion. This is going to be a fundamental transformation of the United States of America through the way they want to do it, which is the economics and the relationship, as the economist says, the triumph of big government. This is the relationship between the citizen and Leviathan.
We're seeing it with policy, right? This is a guy that has allowed massive spending. This is a guy that has continued to fuel this policy. So, like I said, we're expecting just more of the same stuff. As you say, we have a massive fight as American citizens, and I can say that now. We've got a massive fight on our hands. We've got to stop the policies of this administration because ultimately, longer term, they're going to bankrupt this nation. I think 50 years from now, historians will write about the Biden presidency, and it has been so far the worst since Jimmy Carter in terms of misery, in terms of sheer economic suffering inflicted across the U.S., and it's getting worse. And I think a Powell appointment just means continuation of this policy, right? Having Brainard as the Fed chair means a continuation of this policy. Sorry, please.
No. If you look at the Green New Deal and everything else we're talking about, woke investing, that the Fed's now going to get invested in, it's very scary. And remember, the buried lead in the zero hedge piece over the weekend is that they're planning another stimulus, believe it or not, another stimulus package for the spring of next year. They're already